Hey, good evening. Good to spend a few moments with you tonight. Excited to share some of the stories. And before I get to any of them, because you're going to want to hear these stories because you're a part of them, I first want to just say thank you. May and June, getting to preach here and then receive such a generous gift from Trinity, from the members of Trinity, from the foundation, has just, honestly, it just blew me away. I'm so incredibly thankful. And tonight, I think the best way I can say thank you is to share with you some of the stories of what LINC is doing. Some of them happening as recently as this morning. And so just want to share what God is up to. I can hardly keep up with everything that's happening. And so there's a lot of really great things. And I want to share a couple of those highlights with you this evening. You'll remember from when I was here, LINC empowers local missionary leaders in Chicago, and we partner with them so that it leads to city transformation. Our hope is that every person in Chicago, which means we have a 10 million person, I'll say this, we have a 10 million person problem, or the better way to say is, we have a 10 million person opportunity, but the church has a problem. And you feel the problem. You feel that when we want to see every person in the city experience the gospel from someone they know in a way they can understand, you know that that's a real challenge. And if you remember, I think I shared this when I was here in May, the church is half of what it was 25 years ago. There used to be 12,800 churches in Chicagoland in the year 2000. And when that same study was done, just 20 years later, in the year 2020, we were down to 6,500, and then the global pandemic happened. And churches have closed at a more rapid rate in the last 5 years than they have the previous 20. And so I don't think our number is still 6,500. And here's what I want to share with you. And here's what I shared with one of our newest partner churches, Emmanuel in Batavia, when I was there 2 weeks ago. I said, there are dozens of churches in the city of Chicago that no longer exist that would kill to sit in the opportunity and have the opportunity that you have today. And I just want to put before you, you have an incredible opportunity at hand. You have the opportunity to do something more than what your heart hurts for most. And usually, if it's like me, your heart hurts most for your church family. And so the question that oftentimes we ask is, how do we get our church back to the way it used to be? Or how do we get back to our heyday? Or how do we see growth happen in our church? Your vision, Andy, of wouldn't it be great if we had to spend more money on baptisms every year? It should be 100 kids a year, 150. Amen. I'm with you. And the question is, how do we get back there? That is always right in front of us. But can I just suggest to you that it's not just a local church problem, it's a kingdom problem, it's a regional problem, it's a Chicagoland problem. And one of the things I love getting to do is gather in groups just like this with incredibly dedicated, generous Christians just like yourself and say, let's lean into this challenge together. And because we partner together, you, alongside of LINC, alongside of a whole bunch of other churches around Chicagoland, are asking the questions, how do we see everyone experience the gospel around Chicago? And tonight, I just want to give you a little glimpse of how that's happening. You'll remember that we are investing in long-term solutions towards city transformation, which means we invest in the roots and we let God bear the fruits. That means we're investing in those local missionary leaders so that they can do the thing that God's called them to do, just like you want to do the thing that God's called you to do. Or is it Josh? Josh who just spoke? When we talk about a guy who is doing the thing that God's called him to do. Did you see that and hear that? I mean, you've gotten a front row seat to that. I mean, I'm listening to Josh, and I'm like, we need 10,000 more Joshes in Chicago. We need more young leaders stepping into the mission of God. And here's the good news. we have that opportunity. You're seizing that opportunity, and we've got more opportunity in front of us. Here's just a quick glimpse of what LINC is up to and how we're making an impact through our training. And then I'll share just a little bit more of what that training has looked like specifically in Chicago.
Oftentimes when we think about mission work, we're thinking about missionaries going thousands of miles from their home. But I'll tell you this, when you encounter somebody who is already in a community, who those are their people, that is their story. That's where they came from. Where they say, these are my brothers, my sisters, my cousins. I know this story. There's such an impact for the gospel when local people are empowered to engage their own community out of their own testimony. When I first started my ministry, I didn't know LINC existed. Man, I wish I did. Right from the beginning, I was hooked. And I think it was walking in and everyone was so friendly. And I just felt like, these are my people. I just came in and said, this is great. From being week one, where I knew I had something, but I didn't have direction. And then I made it to the course, now I have direction. It felt empowering because now I had the tools that I needed to go forth boldly, to be able to pray, talk about them, learn, be supported, grow. And all of the same thing, that's unique. It's not easy to learn. It was about accountability. Probably is the biggest part. You just have the group of people who work to give advice and be there when I feel like I'm the one to break out and say, oh, maybe you can do it. That's safe space to practice, to be present, to bring the idea forward, and to also receive feedback, to be able to go through a class that just lays it all out, that says, here is what it takes to start a nonprofit. Here's your plan. Here's your goals. Here's some coaching after the class. Here's all these resources that you get to utilize. It just makes it so much easier.
This last week, I was talking with one of our leaders. His name's Steve. And Steve started a pottery studio because he was recognizing their local church is having a hard time connecting in their community. And he just told me the story about Mike and Maya. Mike and Maya have lived across the street from the church for years, but have never connected in. They've showed up at some of the events that the church has done in the community, some block parties, and so they know about the church, but had never walked through the doors of the church. But when they met Steve and they heard that Steve was doing pottery, they said, we've been wanting to do some pottery. He said, well, come on. So a year later, that goes by a year, he doesn't hear from Mike. And a year later, Mike texts Steve and says, hey, I don't know if you remember me, but we're up for some of that pottery if you're still okay with that. And they sit down with Steve, and for 3 hours, they're doing stuff that I probably can't do with my hands, but maybe with Steve's guidance, I'd be able to. They're just shaping pottery, something beautiful out of something dead. Kind of sounds like the gospel in action. Creates an incredible conversation point. Steve gets to share the gospel with Mike and Maya, and they hear the gospel, maybe for the first time in their lives. And they said, you know what? We've always been curious about this church. We've noticed you do nice things in the neighborhood. And he said this, but we just couldn't work up the courage to walk through the doors of the church. Why are you guys doing this studio? Why are you taking this part of the church building and turning it into a pottery studio? And he said, because of what just happened for the last 3 hours. We're here to let you know that we love you. We'd love to sit down with you, and we'd like to actually get to know your story before we pretend to assume we know your story. Mike and Maya are a whole lot closer to Jesus because there was a space for them to connect, even though they would never walk through the doors of the church. And every single one of the leaders that we walk alongside of are engaging with people in the world, in their neighborhood, in their community. Usually it's happening outside the walls of the church, but in collaboration with the local church. I think there's something powerful about that. We had 10 leaders, 15 leaders start walking with us this year, going through our training. In the Mission Accelerator, we saw just incredible feedback from the people that went through, that when they came in, only 20% of the people that we've started working with say, yeah, I feel pretty confident I know how to lead a venture, some kind of venture. It could be a nonprofit, a ministry, a business. But by the time they're done, just 7 weeks in, that number jumps to 93% of them. It's just incredible impact, the confidence that they begin to build. And then we start walking alongside of them with coaching. And we start helping them not just get clarity on their idea, but now put their idea into motion. And they start to work with a strategic guide who's coaching them and walking alongside of them as they bring their idea to life. And these are just a handful of those leaders and who they're serving. When you hear these folks and their voices, think about all the voices that are being impacted through each one of these leaders, because they're all in a different neighborhood with a different sphere of influence, bring the gospel in those places.
Women who lack self-worth, teens who suffer with confidence in their identity in Christ, who need a space for growth, the population of youth, children through damaged homes.
The underserved areas in Chicago, the youth in particular, through scholarship programs.
Christian leaders for kingdom influence and impact.
Albany Park, Illinois.
Those who are impacted by incarceration, typically middle-aged, male or female. They're facing transitions or turbulent times, and my goal is to help them stay anchored in the wind.
Every time I listen to that, I'm mindful of the passage where we're reminded that God's strength is made perfect in our weakness, right? Each one of those leaders meeting people in their weakness, in their moments of suffering, their hardship, and being challenged in whatever they're experiencing in life, whether it's gang violence, incarceration, it's educational challenges, food challenges, housing challenges. I mean, we walk alongside the leaders so that they don't give up on the thing that God's called them to do. And we make sure that they stay in it and continue to lead. These are just some of the results that we've seen. You get kind of bored with those. It's all awesome, the things that the leaders are getting to see. But I want you to just start to know the type of impact that you're making and that you're joining in on. We're in 24 of the 77 neighborhoods in Chicagoland. There's all kinds of impact happening, whether it's working alongside of leaders who are mentoring students in Chicago public school system. The foundation, the way you support scholarships here, you got to meet with two of our leaders, Mike and Jenny Chang, who started a foundation to give scholarships to students from 6th to 12th grade. In the Austin and Inglewood neighborhoods. You heard Mike in that video. They help give opportunities, leadership, discipleship, and serving opportunities to these kids that they can earn $250 every month if they keep showing up to these things and serving in their community. And so when they get to college, they have a scholarship fund to pull from to allow them to get their education. They just graduated their first college student last year, and they're currently funding 14 students through college right now. It's amazing. And those kids then, they're staying off the streets. They're staying out of the gangs because they're getting into incredible relationships with mentors who are discipling them in the gospel. This is all happening in public schools. It's just amazing. The public schools are hungry for this. And so lots of impact that's happening around the city. Now, here's where I want to be an encouragement to you and help you hear not just the stories of leaders who are being impacted right now, although I could share another video that we just finished, and we'll have more stories next weekend at our big event. It's called the LINC event. I'll share an invitation here with you in just a moment. But I want you to hear what we're growing towards. We feel a tremendous amount of responsibility that what we build now is sustainable for a long time. The city of Chicago needs that. They don't need one more Band-Aid approach to impact. So for us, here's some of the things that we're building. Number one is we're putting together an advisory team right now that is going to speak directly into me as the city director and help influence and advocate for LINC all over the city. That group is going to influence our strategy. They're going to help us get really clear on strategic initiatives that we need to put in motion to make sure that we're thinking things through, not just from a hip shotgun approach, but really from a well thought out strategic approach to ministry. We know that we need to be about the multiplication of leaders, and that's going to show up here in just a moment. We know that the work that God's calling us to demands collaboration. And so the same thing that I'm inviting you to lean into, that you're sitting on an incredible opportunity right now. I'm sharing that with churches all over Chicagoland, and that we need to lean into this together. The conversations we'll have at the Link Up event next weekend on Friday, they are collaborative conversations because it's going to take every single one of us to be about the work of seeing nearly 10 million people experience the gospel from someone they know in a way they can understand. And then one of the things that we are piloting, and maybe here's where you should be most excited. We are piloting right now our very first approach here in Chicagoland, large part and due because of the generosity that we saw God work through you, gave us the courage to take a step of bold faith. And we've started to partner with Trinity Lutheran Church in Galewood. That's been a strategic location for us for many years. We've seen a lot of fruit already come from there. And here's what we're doing. We're putting a LINC leader, Lexi Schmidt. If you've met Lexi, she was here with us back in the spring, is now really embedded with the team at Trinity to foster collaborative partnerships with nonprofits and businesses in the area to do a couple of things. One, generate revenue for Kingdom Impact. If this isn't a challenge here at Trinity, it is a challenge in almost all ministries around the country. And I know this in sitting down with hundreds of pastors over the last 8 years around the country in my role with PLI. Money is a challenge that every church is facing. And there are opportunities for us as Christians to collaborate with businesses where revenue sharing can be impactful for Kingdom Impact. And so we're pioneering some of that stuff with Lexi at Trinity, both for LINC, but also for Trinity's sustainability in that community. What we're also doing is we're helping the church get more engaged in the community. If I know anything about any church, it's they're looking for momentum in outreach. This is true of every church I've been in. I don't know a church yet that I've been in that isn't looking for this. We want to make a greater impact. We want to get to know our neighbors, and we want more people to find their belonging here at our church. But, and there's always the but we have less money, less people, less time, less staff, less energy than we did 10 years ago or 20 years ago. So how do we do it? We think we've really started to find our way towards a solution to that, and the way that LINC can partner with the local church. This is a really important thing because I've also been talking with our Northern Illinois district leaders, and there are plenty of churches that are most likely not going to make it through the next 5 years in the city of Chicago, which means there's a lot of opportunity at hand for us to make sure that we don't lose the gospel footprint represented in that building or property, and make sure that somehow, through collaboration, we are able to maintain a gospel footprint in that community. We see this being as an opportunity to do that. And the third thing that it does is it helps LINC get closer to leaders who need the clarity and training that LINC provides. And so we really see a simple embedding of a LINC leader alongside the local church, implanting what could become an entrepreneurial center that's drawing people into the church because they want to be successful in what they're doing, in partnering with the mission of God for the impact of the community. It's really incredible stuff that's starting to happen, and I really don't think we'd be stepping into that role if God didn't show up with the incredible generosity that happened in May and June. I'm telling you, that was a very crucial season for us in organization. and God used you guys in a powerful way to give us enough to say, we can take a step forward in this, trusting that God's going to give us everything we need for this. And it's powerful, powerful stuff. Just really quickly, there's that city advisory ambassador team that I was talking about. We're calling it a CAT team. It needs a better acronym probably, but it's a city advisor and ambassador team that's helping us be in different places. A little bit of our impact here. This year alone, we've seen 7 new partner churches come on board with LINC Chicago, which is a powerful, powerful thing, especially when you consider we probably were right around, I'm afraid to say the number. It's probably 8 or 9 partner churches coming into this year. So we've almost doubled our partner churches this year. We've seen and connected with 70 new leaders in workshops around Chicagoland this year. We've gone from 500 folks being storytellers of what God's doing with the good news in Chicago to 800 people this year, which is a powerful thing. And you got to see some of those stories of the 15 leaders that we've coached and walked alongside of this year. And here's what this looks like for LINC Chicago. For us, we had our best year of generosity this last year. LINC Chicago is the only LINC city. We're in 10 cities now. It was probably actually 7 cities when I was here in May. We're in 10 cities now. LINC Chicago is the only city that has consistently gone up in its generosity in giving to LINC since its inception. And this last year, we had our largest amount of generosity, around $105,000 to support the work that LINC Chicago is doing. This year, we're really believing God to a little more than double that. And so the new partnerships, your generosity here at Trinity has us really believing that God's leading towards a lot of impact. We also know that ahead of us comes the multiplication of leaders, new partnerships like what we're pioneering with Trinity in Galewood on the west side of Chicago. We have more churches coming to us and saying to us, can we do something like that? We say, we hope so. We want to get there. We're just not there yet. Today, this morning, hear the power of these partnerships, and then I'll be done. This morning at Trinity Galewood, this partner hub spot for LINC, it was a joint worship service between Trinity, which is a recent church plant, and also an Ethiopian immigrant, Oromo-speaking congregation from Wicker Park, near northwest side of Chicago. That church is looking for a new building. Well, LINC has been in conversation with churches that are nearing the end of their life cycle, but they're looking to bless another congregation. And today, God connected about 5 dots with meeting this Oromo-speaking Ethiopian immigrant congregation that is vibrant. I mean, it was just a powerful worship service with the opportunity, I'll cut to the quick, them being in this space and supporting and planting an Oromo-speaking Ethiopian immigrant church, planting a Hispanic church. That's a powerful image, isn't it? All because of what God could connect. Now, there's a lot of dots that the Holy Spirit still needs to connect there, but that was a powerful moment. And we just see these things popping up all over the place, and we just can't respond fast enough to the opportunities that exist. And so the way we're partnering with churches and individuals, what it looks like for us is just a series of gifts and people giving at a certain level. We know and have seen the incredible generosity and partnership of Trinity. And again, I just can't say thank you enough. The timing of that, you just don't know the timing of that. It meant the world to us and how we were able to take another bold step of faith towards where we believe God's calling us. I want to keep telling stories, and I wish I could. If you didn't come up and take the mic, I'd keep telling stories, Andy. But next Friday, November 7th, we're going to have an evening of telling stories. You'll get to meet some of the leaders that you've been seeing on the videos and that I've been telling about tonight. It'll be not too far from here at Trinity Green Trails in Lisle. We're hosting it there. It'll be a wonderful evening. It is a fundraising event, so I don't want to surprise anybody, but it's also a night of casting vision for collaboration around the city, and inviting people to collaborate. And we're praying for God to break down some of the silos that exist between Christians in Chicago, between churches in Chicago, because we just don't have the luxury anymore of being able to say, I'll just continue to care about the things that affect me. We have an opportunity. I mean, think about what the world is hearing about Chicago right now. Just imagine if we flip that upside down by the power of the Holy Spirit. The world is going to take notice that the bad news that was coming out of this city is now gospel news coming out of our city. We have an opportunity to be a part of that. And so tonight, I'm so thankful for our partnership, so thankful that you guys have blessed LINC in this way, and we're getting after it. We're thankful we get to get after it alongside of you. So if you wanted to come to this, you can scan that QR code. RSVPs do close this Friday. So this is the last couple of days to RSVP for it. We'd be honored to have you there for dinner, for you to hear some of the stories. So thank you.